everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Gamut Network. What a story we have on today, and an unbelievable woman who is going to share not only her journey, but also what she has been through during the COVID pandemic. So without further ado, I am so excited to introduce Kristina to the show. Hi, Kristina.
Hi, Mindy. How are you?
It's so good to see you and see you looking as beautiful and bright and joyful as you always are. So very grateful for that.
Awesome. Good to be here.
Can we just first start by sharing your story? Because I think it's really important for the viewers to understand your journey and when it happened in your life.
Sure. So at the age of 31, I was a nurse, very happy in my career. Professionally, I was recently married, happy, just starting my life and very content where I was. And I was away on vacation in 2017, Texas, and I was involved in a boating accident where I found myself pulled through the propeller of a boat. Immediately, my right arm was completely amputated, along with, I had gaping wounds to my right side, along with part of my breast was missing, and I found myself in the water. I have experience as an intensive care nurse, overall, generally seasoned nurse, and I just knew at that moment in the water that I had to not panic and really think about how I was going to get myself out of this situation. Thankfully, with the help of some friends, some rescuers, I was pulled from the water and was brought to safety, brought to land. An ambulance was waiting with paramedics. I was awake the whole time, and I was talking to them. I was asking them a bunch of nursing questions: how much drainage was there, what rhythm was I in, what my blood pressure was like. And they ended up bringing me to an area where a helicopter landed and brought me to Del Cien Medical Center, which was a hospital in Austin. And I was immediately brought into surgery. I have since had 11 surgeries to both fix the infection risk as well as just closing the wound up, and breast surgeries as well, cosmetic surgeries.
Oh my gosh. So I need to go back because I think it's so unbelievable that you had the wherewithal to, in the water. I mean, clearly you could have been in shock. You could have, I think anybody that didn't have the training that you do probably would have. And that may not, that may have led to them not surviving, but you immediately went into action based on your experience and being a nurse. Was it just go time for you? Like what was that like, that this was you, not a patient that you were caring for? How did you was it just instinctual, I think is my question.
I think initially I didn't know what actually happened. I thought I hit my head under the boat. I heard my best friends were with me, and I heard them screaming. My best friend initially just jumped immediately in the water. And it's just so crazy because we used to play lifeguard growing up. So I heard her swimming by me. I heard her picking me up, and I couldn't see anything, but I could hear everything. And I know she was trying to not make me panic, but I heard that my arm was missing, and I could still feel the sensation of the arm. I was moving everything. And I remember she had asked me if I had legs still, which caused a huge alarm. And I said I did. And she just said, I needed you to swim. But the lake in Austin, Lake Travis, is so massive. And it actually has a current. I mean, you might as well have been in the ocean. So there was actually nowhere for us to go because the boat actually drifted so far away. And we were so far away from the sides of the lake and the dock, there was really nowhere to go but to keep moving. So all we did was swim and kick and keep moving and hope that somebody would see us. But our voices were just drowned out in the lake. And all I did was think I can give up right now. And I just felt so overwhelmingly tired, and everything was black. And I felt really hopeless.
Mm.
And I just kind of hung on to my friend's voice, and they kept reassuring me. And finally, a speedboat had come by, and the speedboat actually had two men on board, and both of them were actually served in the U.S. Army. So one was a mechanic for the U.S. Army, and the other one was a master resiliency officer.
Wow.
So his sole job is to help his troops adapt to challenges on the front lines. So looking back at this whole story, and, I always sit and think about it, this was supposed to happen to me. And that's kind of where I get the confidence from. This was my journey the entire time. Who better to be put in my path that day? And, everybody that I needed there was there. They got me back onto the boat, and that was the initial time where I really saw the full extent of the damage. And I just knew, just seeing that this was very real, and I had to really think about every move I made. Everybody that was supposed to be there was there. And at that time, I just told them to elevate my legs, to apply pressure to my wound, to give me fluids, and they all just did. And by the time we got to the shore, I actually wasn't bleeding, and my brachial artery, the major artery up here, was cut. And we thought at any moment that I would become, not stable. But in the OR, the surgeon actually ended up telling me the next day that my artery was actually kinked and tied like a bow. And that caused me from not dying that day, which was just very strange. So by the time we got to land, the paramedics were amazing. I am still in touch with all my rescuers.
Mm.
And I learned that one of the paramedics, that I was his first real trauma. So we always laugh about it now, but he was nervous. I was nervous. It was an interesting situation, but thankfully the other one was very, very experienced. They both were so amazing, and they got me to the helicopter.
Thank God. So just to recap, you're 31, freshly married, doing amazingly well in your career, and life changed for you in a second. Mm-hmm. Take me through the process of getting to a new normal, because I cannot imagine what that must have been like, and where did you find the strength to get to a new normal?
I think for me, as far as getting to new normal and confidence in general, it was a major decision. And there were moments, I'm not saying I never had a hopeless moment or a sad moment, but I just knew it was just a decision for me to make, that I can do this multiple ways. And I just knew I had to keep going and continuing the life I had in some way. So it was just, I knew that I could get everything that I wanted mostly done. It would just have to be done in a different way. So initially I became frustrated, but it was with my body almost, that why couldn't my body operate the way it used to? So I think I would get frustrated with things with, like, initially first doing my hair, first doing, cutting something, trying to cook, trying to still be me, still be feminine, to look feminine, to do my makeup, to, wear a tank top, things like that is where I had to build that initial confidence. But once I learned how to do it, I was fine.
Now let's focus for a second, like, even on the notion of dressing yourself. Having one arm now is, proved to be incredibly challenging, and really one of the reasons why I originally started Runway of Dreams, because everybody needed to be able to feel good, be able to wear what they wanted to wear. And you're a perfect example of that, because prior to the accident, you had a style, you were Kristina, you had a look. And then post the accident, why didn't you deserve to be the same Kristina and have that same style that you did before? Was that an adjustment? How did you adjust to that?
I think it took a couple months. Initially, I wore long sleeves. I let the sleeve hang. And I kind of felt like, well, I don't have to change for anybody. I'm just going to wear what I normally wear. And then I realized that their adjustments just had to be made, and not necessarily with the look of things, but with the practicality of it. And for instance, certain things was just harder for me to do. Zippers, snaps in the back. A lot of dresses are made with something in the back that you would else. So I just always thought, well, never mind the arm. What if I was just a single woman living on her own? How would I even get into this dress? There was one situation where my husband was away in California working, and I went to a function. I had the dress on, and I went home, and I couldn't get this dress off by myself. It was late. I should have asked my friend who dropped me off to unbutton me, to undo me, and I just could not get this dress off. And I remember thinking, I'm going to have to live in this dress. And I fell asleep wearing this dress. So I think I had to make adjustments for me. I started working with a tailor. I had to go through a couple tailors just for them. This is not the usual for you to cut off a sleeve and adjust a sleeve exactly to make it look like that this was how it was bought. Once I started doing that, she was a wizard. She changed everything. Whatever I wanted to be done, she's like, I can do it. So we began experimenting. I did months of physical therapy, occupational therapy. My occupational therapist was amazing. She was a woman that, hasn't worked with that many upper extremity amputees. We're very rare. So it was a learning experience for her too. But she taught me all there is to know about living one-handed. She would tie me writing, because I was actually a righty and I had to be forced to write with my left. So she taught me a lot about clothing, putting it on in a certain way, using the side of a door to zip something up, to hold the jacket and zip something up, just little things that could be helpful for me. And I, of course, YouTube things, and just started being creative.
So you had to really kind of figure out managing life with one arm, and not even the arm that you're used to being your dominant arm. So it's just so fascinating to think about how many important aspects of life, like dressing yourself, that impacts, and to still maintain who you are as a person and your confidence level. What was it like in that vein to go back to work?
Well, I was very grateful that nursing is a very physical job, but I knew that there was other areas in nursing that I can be, of help. So it was a little scary going back to work. I think it wasn't only scary for me, but also my coworkers. My coworkers were amazing this entire situation. And I think it also just scared my friends and family. I was the accident that hit close to home. I was the first accident that, survived and was able to talk about it. And, it could have happened to anybody. So I think it was harder in a sense for my friends and my coworkers, because they would see me back in intensive care. I went back to intensive care 7 months later, as a resource nurse, as a helper. And they didn't know if they should help me. They don't know if they should let me figure it out on my own. So I did struggle, but I needed to do that. I needed to find out how to, put a glove on. Even something as simple as that we do 1,000 times a day, I wasn't able to do properly. So again, we became creative. At the time, I was also working per diem for 2 counties as a forensic nurse. So my boss for forensic nursing actually figured out a way to use a sponge holder to put on a glove. And you would just suction cup this sponge holder that we found at like Home Goods to the wall. And you would wrap the glove around one side and around the other and slip your hand in and pull it out. So we had those attached in the unit. Everyone was very, very supportive at work.
What an unbelievable hack.
Yeah.
So brilliant.
Yeah. So we had to just figure out a way for me to be comfortable doing it. And, it was definitely a process, because it was me adapting to this new change, my coworkers seeing me. Obviously it was a very emotional time. I had one of my friends, every time she saw me, she would cry, as a nurse. And, it took her months to see me different. And I think that's what was really hard for my friends, is who I was now. And, seeing the scars, seeing me in a bathing suit, it's just very eye-opening to them and scary. So once I got more comfortable, it was also seeing patients. Patients would see me. And it took me a while to realize, nursing, while it's very physical, it's also my brain. I have the knowledge. I understand what nursing is. I know how to do things. I know how to save a life. So it was almost validating to other people or floors that didn't know me. What happened? Well, what is she going to do? It's patients' family members. And in a way, I was very relatable, which was great for them. But also, they wanted to have confidence in a person that could take care of them. So it was just talking through it. And I was asked multiple times a day by patients, family members, employees, staff, things like that about what happened. And I had to also understand that what my limitations really were. And while it was phenomenal, it pushed me back into the nursing fields. I wanted to feel comfortable, 100% comfortable going to work every day, knowing that I didn't have to do these things and be physical and open up an IV. And, I even learned how to put an IV into somebody one-handed. So, just being that creative in every aspect of my life was.
Was it difficult for you to ask for help? Or if somebody said, "Can I help you?" What was your emotional response to that?
I think initially it was hard because I am a very independent person. I always have been. I never usually ask for help at all. Now I learned that there are some things that I just can't do. And if it's easier, I'm just like, yeah, please, can you help me with this? And now I know some things I just can't do. There are parts of this journey I learned that I have to walk completely on my own in, and other parts where I just need the help, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now I'm 100% confident. I'll even ask at the gym somebody to say, "Oh, can you tie my shoe for me?" And they just look at me and they don't say no. So I just know that there was a girl at the gym that I asked to put my hair up when I wasn't able to, when it was shorter, put it up right. But, nobody says no. Everyone's been super helpful. So if I need it, I ask.
I love that. Now, one of the interesting kind of pivots in your life is that you have also become a model. You're a part of Gamut Management. And now on your resume, you've walked in the New York Fashion Week show. You've been in the New York Post, where they featured you in a bathing suit. You have been in other interviews. So tell me about was that something that ever was on your mind that maybe I'll be a model? I mean, you are beautiful and have, a lot to offer, but I'm curious about how this exposure is something that, are you like, wow, that would have never happened?
For sure. In general, across the board, the outpouring after my accident, there was so much love from the community, people bringing food on our doorstep, people I didn't know, strangers. There was just so much love that I received. So along with Gamut, along with being a model in the fashion show, doing interviews, doing public speaking, I just realized maybe this journey's just begun. Maybe this is the second part of my life. This is who I was supposed to be. So I am very accepting of it. I'm very excited. I never thought I would be in certain situations after this. So, who would have thought that from one day, one terrible situation, that so many amazing other beautiful things could have came from it. And I know I wouldn't have never experienced this had I not had the accident. So it's powerful. It's moving for me. I love it. I feel like I can help people see from a different point of view, because I, as a nurse or just a person, having an upper limb extremity is so straightforward. People see me right on. There's no way to hide it. I see people staring and it's hard, but I figure, what, if I can help just one person or one child, or just showing that I'm different and I'm okay with it, even in the supermarket.
And I think
so it's definitely
so important, because that is really one of the reasons why I wanted to start this show, is for that exact reason, in that you are a beautiful woman, first and foremost, a successful nurse. You have so much to offer. And I hope that somebody watching this that may not be where you are emotionally can look at you and say, wow, she feels grateful for what has happened to her and all the opportunities and what you are going to impart upon others that are, in the world of disability is so critically important, and we're so grateful for that. But before we go, I definitely want to make sure that we have a second to talk about the fact that you have been on the front lines during the pandemic. You yourself did have COVID-19. Tell us a little bit about that, because actually I'm curious, I don't know the answer to this. Were you in the high risk category because of the arm and the surgeries and your immune system? And or was it because you were on the front lines and very involved in working in a hospital, et cetera? And by the way, so grateful and thankful that you are here and look beautiful and healthy and are back helping people again.
I think just for the nursing community as a whole, it was a huge shock. It's very emotional, the situation. I'm not sure if I got COVID from work. It could have happened anywhere. The supermarket, close proximity with coworkers. I'm not really sure. But COVID definitely turned the nursing world upside down. It definitely takes a special person to be at the bedside. I currently am no longer at the bedside. I'm a clinical supervisor for a cardiac department, sports cardiology and cardiomyopathy. But, I saw these nurses so tired every day taking care of so many patients that wasn't their norm, and just becoming emotionally attached to them, and just seeing this virus sweep across the community was just unbelievable. As I told you in the past, that, as a nurse, you experience these sad situations occasionally every couple of months. You'll always remember the family or how it made you feel. And this happening, you're feeling like this constantly on a weekly basis. You'll see very sad stories, young, old, and the fact that they can't have family members there, and having to be a part of something, obviously is very special as a nurse. We're there in the room during, people's last minutes, during very happy times, breaking bad news. And it's a privilege to be in the room at that time. But I see my coworkers that are FaceTiming family members, giving them the last opportunity to say goodbye to their loved one. It's very emotionally draining for people on every aspect. So I think I have never been more proud to be a part of the nursing community. So it definitely, made me very happy to see my coworkers pushing through and just trying to take control of the situation.
And you guys really are the heroes of this situation. And I am happy that you are being recognized for your incredible hard work and dedication and the emotional toll that this is taking on all of you. So incredibly grateful. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. Before we go, I like to ask all of my guests one final question, and that's about the power of a vision board and the notion of manifesting what you want to happen in your lifetime. I have everything from being interviewed by Oprah and Ellen and having this show on an actual network. Who or what would be on your vision board?
On my vision board, I think just being more involved in the fashion community. We can teach a lot of people about this. Feeling difference, the confidence that you can get from clothing. I want to increase on my public speaking. I would love to be on a TED Talks, so that's definitely a big goal of mine. And just possibly going back to school to be a nurse practitioner. So a couple things, working on it.
Great. Put it out there. I know you're going to make it happen. You have been such a beautiful addition to my life, and I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to get to know you and be on this journey with you. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mindy. Love being a part of Gamut.
Thank you. If you would like to be on the Gamut Network, please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com to tell us why you'd be a great guest. Please also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Gamut Network, as well as follow us on our social platforms at Gamut Management. Thank you again so much, Kristina.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.